Okay. What's up, guys? It's your boy, Desmond with the Lens. Now look, this video, I ain't even gonna hold you guys. It's gonna be a long video. And this ain't really one of those videos where you should just like sit down, look at it, and watch. This is one of those things that you kind of put on in the background while you're working because, like I said, it's a long video. But I'm gonna be talking about basically 5 things they don't tell you about being a full-time photographer before you become a full-time photographer. So, number 1, your first year is going to be your worst year. Like, absolute worst. You are either going to come out flat, meaning you make enough just to pay your bills, and or you do not come out above board. And I'm not saying this because I know how you guys like structure your prices, how you guys network or whatnot. What I'm saying is most people, when they go from part-time or even from a hobby to this full-time gig, they end up not making enough and they end up failing their first year. And it's just a regular statistic. And this isn't something to like deter you or like to make you not want to become a full-time photographer. It's just something they don't tell you. Everyone says, oh, make your passion your career so that you never work again. And that's true, but they don't tell you how much business you need to know before becoming a full-time photographer, because this pays all of your bills. And if you don't make enough, you then go under. So your first year is going to be your worst year, but it only goes up from there. Legit, every year, whatever you did that previous year stacks up and makes your next year better. But you got to work hard and you got to make sure you're actually doing stuff every year for your next year to be better. Starting from ground zero, like I said, most people fail or they'll end up coming just out flat, meaning they made enough money to pay their bills. They couldn't go on no trips, couldn't buy anything extra. You know, any gear that you bought, you had to buy it specifically for that job. You probably used the money for the job that you got paid to buy the gear. And that's just something that it's like a real life fact. And if you don't have any support system, like if it's just you, like it's gonna be harder versus if it's you, then you have a spouse who is helping you, or you have a tight knit family who's like giving you some money every now and then when you come out short. Becoming a full-time photographer ain't really for the weak of heart, but once you get past that first big hurdle, you'll be fine. Take your time. As a part-time photographer, make sure you got all your ducks in a row before you jump into this full-time. Because once you're here, there's no going back. Like if you try to go back after being a full-time photographer, you're gonna realize, yo, this is ghetto. And I can't do this. I gotta get up out of here. All right. Number 2, the difference between photography being a source of income versus the source of income. When photography is a source of income, it's nothing but extra money. That is your going out, that's your party, that's your dinner, dates, whatever. It's nothing but extra money because you have a full-time or another part-time job that's paying your main bills. Once you've started earning however much you made for your main bills, you decide, I'm going to drop this and I'm only going to do photography, which is the correct mindset. However, most people don't stack up 6 months of your income before you go full-time. Some people just hop straight into it. Some people stack a year. I personally say stack 6 months. You realistically only need 6 months of a head start for you to really come out flat when you've gone full-time with photography. And it's only because you need to make sure that everyone knows this is all you do and your schedule has opened up more so you can take more shoots. But that whole shift from having your 9 to 5 to just doing photography is a mess. You go from having your routine of waking up, washing your face, brushing your teeth, going to grab something to eat, going to work, leaving, coming home, spending some quality time with your family, with your friends, with yourself, to only doing photography where sometimes you might not have a gig for like a week or two. So you have nothing but free time. And in that free time, you're like, oh man, I gotta do all of this stuff. And you start putting extra pressure on yourself. And then you start doing things that you would not necessarily have done had you have a book schedule. And that's a good thing and a bad thing, because idle hands can make your life a whole lot worse. You could start dabbling into something that has nothing to do with your career path, and you can end up wasting a lot of time. Or you could get like deflated from not having a gig. Like if you go a week to 2 weeks and your phone doesn't ring, your messages don't pop off, and you don't got a photo shoot or a video shoot, you can get depressed, and no one really tells you about that. That you can start really doubting yourself, because everyone has a slow season, and in your first year, because you don't know what's yours, you could just think no one really wants to book with you. And that little time period will eat away at you. Doesn't matter how good or bad you are. Just knowing that everyone should know you're a full-time photographer and no one's booking with you, that messes you up. And that also messes up your finances. Because if you go from having maybe one shoot a week or 2 shoots a week, and then your part-time job, and then all of a sudden you don't have your part-time job, and your photo shoots have not started coming in yet, and you have nothing, that puts fear into your heart. And you start panicking and start making mistakes. Number 3, imposter syndrome. No matter what career field you are going to go into, you're going to end up getting this at some point in time. It may come in and it may leave as soon as it comes, or you could have it for a long time and it be the next hurdle in your career path. There are a lot of photographers who are great photographers. Like, they make amazing work, but then they get out, become a full-time photographer, and start doubting their skills because of things like likes on social media, because of people not really booking them. Maybe they think that they're not charging right, and now they think, oh, I must not be great because I'm charging what I think is my worth, but no one wants to book with me. So maybe I'm not really a photographer. Maybe I'm not as good as I think I am. And all of those things start getting into your head and starts messing you up really badly. And you stop believing in yourself. And it doesn't matter what your friends, your family, or some of your peers say, because at the end of the day, you look in your schedule, you don't got no shoots booked, and you don't have any potential clients coming out the woodwork. It's just you with your camera and you're waiting. That makes you feel like you're not a photographer. You're just someone with a camera. And that can get to you. And this is just a bonus kind of thing. It's all real mental. Like, the negatives about being a photographer, almost all of them are just mentals. Because you come in thinking one thing, then you end up you end up having some real life experiences, and it starts really messing you up. You start doubting yourself. The little voice in your head starts getting louder and louder, and all of a sudden you only hear them versus you hearing everyone talking about how great your work is, how great you are as a photographer, things like that. So you gotta be in a real great space when you're being this for a full time, and you have to have a good support system. Now, lean in for this one. They don't tell you when you're becoming a full-time photographer how to measure your success, because everyone has a different measurement of success. George, his success is he has 3 shoots every week. He's only charged about $100. So that will pay for all of his bills because he lives by himself. And he thinks he's doing great, which he is, because his measurement is low. Susie, she has 1 shoot a month, but her 1 shoot brings her in $10,000. She thinks she's successful, which she is. But what do you think is successful? Is it just paying your bills? Is it having money on the side so you can do extra things? Is it make having your business refund into itself as well as into something else, you have to take the time and define how your business looks when it's being successful. Because if not, you're just going to keep spinning gears and you're going to not understand why is this not taking off? Why am I only being flat? Why am I not making this much? What's wrong with how I'm doing things? You have to take your time, define what your success is, figure it out, and then work towards it. Because if you're not working towards a goal, you're just running in circles. All right. Number 5. How toxic this industry really is. Like, as a part-time photographer, you hear things and you're like, oh, I mean, I'm just going to avoid that person. It'll be all right. No. This industry can be really toxic, all depending on what part of the United States or what part of the world you're in, who you're networking with, and then, like, in all honesty, whether or not you are an actual photographer, like a good one. Because a lot of people in this industry will talk bad about you behind your back, behind closed doors, but in your face will be all buddy and be happy. And I've seen it, and because I've seen it, that means I know people do it to me too. But I know for a fact there are times where people have been in each other's face, they've been happy, then they get behind closed doors and they're like, oh man, that he sucks. Like, why does he even think he's a photographer? Like, his images, horrible. His personality, nah. Like, why is he even here? Someone should tell him he should leave. Like, people be hating on each other for no good reason. And I understand, like, in this industry, you need to be competitive, but there's a difference between being competitive and being hateful. Now, I'm only going to really touch on 2 subjects, but I could go into this for like forever. But number 1, male photographers. It's so hard because when I came into this industry, right, I could not meet one female model who's been a model longer than 3 months who has not had an altercation with a male photographer who said, oh, I want to do a shoot with you. You know, we're going to do this. They say yes. They invite them to the studio. Second, they get to the studio. In the middle of doing this, they started saying, oh, well, let's take some clothes off. Let's do some implied nudes. Let's do some suggestive themes. And now the model is in a weird situation because there are a lot of times where when the model says no, photographer's mindset and mood changes altogether. He's now mean, like he's no longer being friendly, and it's just like a bad time altogether. And if she does do it, now she feels really uncomfortable, and she feels him like trying to make any excuse in the book to like make physical contact. Whether it's, oh, let me move some of your clothing so that it looks better. Let me rub some oil or lotion on you. The list goes on, and it's horrible. It's to the point where I don't like reaching out to female models without like having a full game plan or without someone that I've worked with them being in their network. Like there have been times where I've had people who want to work with me, but if they haven't heard from one of their friends that I'm a cool guy, they wouldn't do it. And that's bad. Like, I don't mind having to like have like a voucher, like, oh, he's cool, work with him. But the fact that it's so wide known that there are like these real perverts, it's like a whole issue in this whole industry. And it pisses me off because it stops the growth of new male photographers who are really just trying to grow. Because whenever they reach out, most women, they'll look and they'll be like, no. because I don't know you and I just don't want to try that. And there's a difference between photographer A, where you go to his portfolio and he has nothing but like half naked women. Obviously, that's what he shoots. So when she says yes, she understands there's a high chance this is what they're going to be shooting. Versus photographer B, who has regular photos, but when you get her into your studio, now you're trying to shoot naked stuff. And that's just sketchy because you're trying to flip a script of what you really are. And it's just a whole mess. And as you get into this industry, it's something you gotta look out for. Like when models are hesitant to work with new people, that's one reason. If they haven't met you before or they haven't seen your work, whether it's behind the scenes, whether it's being a voucher from someone else, like they are hesitant, and they should be, because why should they put themselves in that kind of situation? But like I said, I could talk about this and other shit like this for like hours, but we're about to flip the script now. 80% of the time when TFP photo shoot, so time for photos, where the photographer, a model, and makeup artist will all meet together, they'll do a free shoot to make some dope content, whether it's to like advertise the services, whether it's to like promote themselves, or just to like get more practice. About 80% of the time things fall through, it's because the model ends up having to flake. And photographers hate this. Like, they will go on a rant, they will be upset, and they'll be like, oh, I got all the way here and they didn't show up, so now I'm upset. And then like they will go in. And I feel like it's half their fault, half not. If you are in full communication with your model, like every other day or every 3 days, and you're following up with them, and then everything is great, and then the day of they just flake on you, that's the model's fault. Like, without any real excuse, that's the model's fault. Like, yeah. But if you say, hey, let's shoot, then you don't say nothing to them again until the day of. Hey, look, we people. Like, I personally, if I didn't have a schedule located in 3 different parts of my home and office, I'd forget I had shoot. Like, and I'm gonna be honest. Like, I got one schedule on every floor as well as on my phone. So when I walk past the calendar, I can look and I'd be like, oh, I gotta shoot tomorrow. Can't forget about that shit. But photographers get upset when models who you didn't remind that you guys got a photo shoot flake. And I personally, I don't get any of my gear or anything into my vehicle until I've got a confirmation saying they showing up. Like, if I don't hear from you, I don't even get up. And it's like the motto that some people have where they don't even pick up their camera if then there's no money involved. I don't pick up myself unless I know you're either guaranteed to be there, you're on your way, or me and you have already shot multiple times, so I know that you're just going to show up. Like, and that's just how it is. But it's real weird how upset people get. I feel like if you pre-plan enough, you should be fine. And when life happens, you just gotta go do something else. Like, I'm not saying that I've never had models flake on me, because I have. But that's only but so much shit you can do. Like, if they flake, that's their loss. They don't get to work with you now. And from that point on, you can just decide if you want to work with them anymore. You can say, well, my time is valuable. I can't work with you if you aren't like treating me with the same respect I'm treating you. And that's understandable. That's something that you can work with. But you can't just because you're a good photographer doesn't make you like royalty. Like, you can't be looking down your nose on people when they flake, and it's a human thing. Like, People just think that they're the best. And because they're the best, they can treat other people however they want. And that's one of the most toxic things in this industry. Once you get a high enough status where your photos are the greatest thing, like since sliced bread, you get two people. You either get that one person that's humble as hell. They be like, I mean, yeah, my photos are good, but I'm always trying to get better. You get that person, or you get you should be lucky I'm shooting with you. Come ready or don't come at all. And both people are right because they've earned that space to be there. But one person is better to work with than another. But that's just my opinion. But these are 5 things they don't tell you about when you become a full-time photographer that you should keep in mind when you're making the jump. Like, going full-time is one of the best decisions I've made. I've had more free time to be with my family, more time to work personally on myself. I can support my wife into her business as well. Like, it was an amazing jump and I'm glad that I've taken it. However, if I had known a lot of the things that I know now, I can promise you I would have done a few things differently. But that's why I'm here. That's why I'm talking to you guys, so that you guys don't make the same mistakes I made. Take this knowledge with a grain of salt of however you need to use it, but don't just let it go out of one ear and out one. Don't just let it go in of one ear and out of the other. That's the way that quote goes. But just to summarize some real key talking points that I need for you guys to make sure you understand. Your first year is going to be your worst year. When at the end of the year, if you come out flat or you come out slightly under, do not let it crush you. Do not let it be the reason why you quit being a photographer. Understand, this is your first time that you're really doing something. You now have a year of experience that will help you in your second year. When photography becomes your main source of income, you have to change yourself and create better routines. Now, I'm making a whole video that's going to end up being around here somewhere about some great routines while being a photographer. But for right now, make a routine that works best for you, your shoot schedule, your editing schedule, and your life schedule. You're now a full-time photographer. Make your work-life balance flat. Make sure you have time doing the photographer side. Make sure you have time to be your family, your friends, or whatever. Imposter syndrome is real. It'll only last as long as you let it. Make sure that you're always working on yourself and understand that you're always growing. If you weren't a photographer, no one would have paid you to shoot something. Figure out how to measure your success in order for you to grow in your next year and in your career. If you're a male photographer, please don't be creepy. Be upfront, be honest, and make sure that both models and photographers are in constant contact when you're doing trade for time photo shoots. Cannot stress this enough. Make sure you're talking to your person so that everything goes smoothly and no one gets butthurt by the fact that one person flakes. Because as much as photographers talk about models flaking, what you don't hear too much is about the photographer who flakes on a model or who just never hits the model back up after saying, let's shoot. But that's it for me, guys. Deuces. Oh!